Well, the markets had been focusing on a list of other things before the crisis in Syria began to dominate the headlines. And here to talk to us more about that and what investors should do as this unfolds is Bob Fazio, the Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor at Morgan Stanley. And Bob, good to have you with us.
Hi, Liz.
Let's talk a little bit about that list of things that they were looking at before the world got really complicated again.
Yeah, that's really a good way to start. Basically, we were looking at housing prices rising 12% year over year. Gross domestic product was up 2.2 versus the 1.7 they were expecting. Durable goods orders, however, dropped more than expected. Oil prices hit a 2-year high, and one of the statistics no one's talking about is that the United States actually exported more in goods and services in the month of June than ever before. Certainly a mixed bag economically, and the kind of things that those of us who pay attention to that like to pay attention to because we can deal with that. However, there are great clouds on the horizon.
Yeah, what about Syria? First of all, did all those things sort of create a wash in effect? I mean, the good news and the bad news?
Liz, it's a good way to put it. It is a wash. And what it basically means is that the economy is growing slowly. And you'll notice even today, there was good news today on the economy, up 2.2% versus the 1.7 that was expected. That's a big deal. However, overarching all of that is the geopolitical news. Are we going to have war in Syria? If that's the case, everything else takes a back seat to that.
And what happens in the meantime while I mean, apparently we're not going to have to wait too long to figure out what happens next in terms of what our response is, but what kind of time frame or what's going to happen in the meantime?
Well, it's really going to depend on what happens. It looks at this point, and it only looks at this point, that both the United States and Great Britain may lead a group of nations in some surgical strikes on Syria. It's too early to tell. You'll notice today, in the absence of anything happening there, the market rose today on the good economic news. One of the things that I heard a few years ago, which is a question that I always keep in mind and repeat to investors, the thing you have to ask yourself when all of this news hits is, how does war in Syria affect, good or bad, Pepsi-Cola stock?
Well, I'll bite. Is there an answer?
Well, it's a simple analysis, and it basically means it doesn't. It's just reacting to the news. And we tell people year after year, do not invest according to the headline news. So we're not telling people to ignore the military conflict that may be coming. All we're saying is don't make your investment decisions on the basis of that.
All right. I'm glad that it didn't have an impact because I was racking my brains and I couldn't think of one. So you've allayed my concerns that I couldn't think of it. Bob Fazio, thanks so much for being with us today. And I know that